There used to be.
Over here?
Yeah.
Yes and no. The difference between now and is that is not 1975 anymore.
Yeah.
It's like with the fencing and stuff. You know, you're trying to do things that are not going to wreck the aesthetics, and nobody wants to put a chain link fence around anything.
Right.
But people don't make good decisions. And then they want to blame you for their poor decisions. So, you know, it's a big thing with security and just keeping things in check. We had, we could be working here with the crane, and people will show up and literally like walk right into the work area. So that's why we had to do something to kind of keep a barrier between the two. I mean, the guys that are here volunteering all the time, you know, and that's what I think Andy or whoever said it yesterday. The best way to get intimately acquainted with this place is to come volunteer. Even if you're painting windows or stripping paint off of windows, whatever it is, that's the best way to do it. There's a lot more movement and activity here now on any given weekday than there ever was in the tourist era, because we're constantly doing track work, moving locomotives. So it's a balance between the two. Mm-hmm. You know, you want to be able to share that with people, but we also have to respect that it's I mean, this is a working railroad now, right, more so than it has been in the last 60 years. So, yeah. So I don't have a good answer for you. Like, we don't want to discourage people, and like when the engine's running, one of the coolest places to be is around this turntable. Right. So are we going to throw people out of there when that's happening? No. You know, it's more so whenever the general working day. The shops and things themselves, the tours have been going very well. You get to see things. These buildings here are not made to allow people, the general public, through.
Sure.
You know, for small tours like this where we have friends, weekends and stuff, it'll be neat to show that off. I don't know how you'd even do a tour of these buildings even when they're back up. I mean, it's just not really conducive to having people in there.
Yeah.
The idea we had too was like with the options of things, doing more like maybe once a month, where you have an insider's tour where you can go see all these things, or as you know, our idea is to rebuild or at least make safe to operate like 30 hopper cars at least. We have 130 of them, but I don't need that many. You know, like, so if we restore and paint enough of them to be able to do like 2 train sets, but while we're doing that, you know, this is such a neat place to be able to demonstrate riveting and things. And so as we do those demonstrations, once we get the car shop kind of in a better place for tours and things, and then yes, so you have access certainly to things that were never really accessible before, but we have to kind of be very cognizant of just the public being able to wander around like it was.
Sure.
I mean, I did that as much as anybody else here, you know, but it's definitely a balancing act.
I can remember walking around these yards for a night photo session where it was so black I couldn't see my shoes.
Right.
It's when nobody got killed that night.
Well, and that's exactly it. You look at videos, even from the late 90s, and most of us were here when like 4 locomotives were still running.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's like 300 people standing on the track.
Yeah, right.
You know, and so
you can't do that anymore.
Definitely wanting to be able to share, people to have the openness that it always had, but yet to have to be responsible with it. So it's a balancing act.
Yeah.
Right.
And costly insurance.
Yes, it is. And the thing about today is, honestly, everybody has a cell phone. Everybody, in 30 seconds, it can be, you know, your reputation can be, which is why we're focusing on making sure the track is good and why you know, everything like that. It's a big thing that I worry about is just people being, you know, in places they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
As you can see,
I'm here.
as Lawrence will agree, shop tours are far more difficult now that there are things running again.
That's a
It's
good
not
thing.
that, it's the speeders just up and down the track, which is a good thing. It's fun to have back.
That day you were riveting. That day we had like 5 tours, and that was the day you decided to.
Don't look
start
at me, I
riveting
didn't
on the
decide to do it.
That was fun.
Yeah, but it's kind of neat though to be here whenever, you know, you hear somebody riveting on things. You know what I mean? It is neat. when they're riveting in that roundhouse on the tender, I think you can hear it way up at the Sandy Ridge Market. It's loud. It's like an amplifier in there.
Yeah.
But you can see the storehouses, which is all Dave Bowman's project here. Give him credit for like just figuring this whole thing out and cataloging things. How many were here to help move stuff out of here? All right. That was a fun week. You know what I mean?
That's one way of putting it.
Right. It was, but it's unbelievable to actually. It doesn't seem right when you go in there now. You know, you get to look at it. It's all coming back together, and actually, it will look very impressive when we get it all back. Because I say we, I helped very little with that week, but to put things back and actually see it organized now and how it looked. I always like to say to like the general public is the Friends do a very good job of making it look like they've done nothing at all. And like this building is going to be a good example of it. You know, even spray staining all the new lumber on the inside to give it the weathered look, which is really what we want. You know, in the shop with the work that was done on the shops when we stabilized them, you know, they do a very good job of making it look like nothing ever happened. And like the general public comes in here, it's like, wow, you know, literally that tool has laid there since 1956. Sure it has. But that's the impression you want to give, and we do that. We take pride in doing that. And so, you know, we are going to rebuild the alleyway between the two buildings as part of the next phase of the project. The master mechanic's office was in this side of the stone house, and then the far side was where the train crews went on duty. We don't have that many heated places around here for the guys to be in the wintertime and inclement weather. So James Roslin and I are working here now, along with Dave, is we're going to actually, the concrete floor that's in the building was poured, I think, in the 60s, and it was not done very well. So we're going to take it out. We're going to put a heated floor, hot water heated floor in it, radiant heat, and then we're going to heat this center section as well. And then that way we can heat the building. We're going to gut the inside of the master mechanic's office. We stabilize the floor and then we'll put it back exactly as it looked. We have all the original cabinets because a lot of the blueprints that are in the station were actually in here in the master mechanic's office. We have all the original cabinets and everything for it, so we're able to put them all back in. The idea is to make the inside of that thing look like it did 80 years ago, 100 years ago, but make it functional. Hot water radiant heat is about the easiest way you can heat that stuff, and that's the idea with it.
Yeah. Great idea.
And then I think we're going to try to tackle the second storehouse between us and whatever friends we can develop with that. It's not quite the project that this one was. I say that, and then every project turns into a project. But the idea is I think we can jack it ourselves and get new studding and sills. It's not built the same way this one was. And then we'll put the end walls and doors and windows back in and everything too. So this has been an interesting project. That you know, one of those ones where we always talk about it, and it's neat to actually see it coming together, which is thanks to you guys. Any questions?
Is there radiant tubing in this slab?
No, we didn't heat those that building. And with the carpenter shop being slowly brought back to an actual functioning carpenter shop, Bill can get his windows out of the blacksmith shop, which therefore allows that tour to start being a little bit more of a reality too. Because that has basically been the window shop for the last however many decades now. But it'll be really neat to kind of bring some of these other things back in, so the tour, like I said, maybe not every tour does this, but you're able to do in-depth tours where you can see some more things. If there's no questions, we can head over towards the machine shop.
Automotive question. How are the diesels doing?
They're functional. They're doing well, actually. You know, the M7 has been, for not really having run for all those years, we actually maintain them now. So Dave and his guys do regular maintenance on everything, and they're actually doing what they need to do. We do have the other set of trucks that was out back for the M7. They're out being rebuilt now. The wheels are turned, and the new traction motors and everything. So when we're waiting on the motors to get wound, And so once the armatures are wound, we'll get them back and we're gonna swap them out so we have a fresh set underneath it, and then we'll send that set out to get rebuilt so that way we have a spare set if something should go wrong.
It's just so simple to pop it. For those of you model rarities, what are we talking about?
Well, if you wanna head into the shop, we'll
Oh, I can see lots in there.
Has Dave been around?
Dave Richards.
Yeah.
He was here last month for the steam show that we had. Yeah, he was down there. That was the first he was down this year.
I'm just remembering coming in here every month for a while and trying to make that wheel move a little wee bit every
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
You know, and then that day when everybody was jumping, breaking it free,
Yep.
it was a hell of a stretch from there to this.
So everybody still got more coming, I guess.
Just a couple.
If you guys wanna keep circling around back, there's plenty of room over here.
Oh, it's not real boy.
Get everybody? So if you wanna really look at a testament to, you know, what the Friends have done, anybody that was here like at a spectacular in the nineties, I remember like the first tour I ever went on, there were so many windows boarded up that they were in here with flashlights like shining on the machines, and I can't remember who did the tours back in those days.
Bird with his flash.
Yeah, like there was, you know, so just the window work alone, you know, I mean, is like enlightening. Huh. But, but I mean,
$25 right
I tell you, but I mean, I'm being serious. That was before I started volunteering here and things. But I remember them doing shop tours where they literally had to have the flashlight in here, and because none of the windows were, you know, they were all boarded up and things. And so it's really, for me, somebody asked me what the, you know, the moment was, I guess, that I've so far that I've had that was, you know, a milestone. This building was one of them. There's several people here that were involved with this when we started the whole thing, which really started with that gantry crane out here and then moved into here. And, you know, every tour I give in here that I try to do for the public, you know, I point out, like, if it looks like new wood, it is. And that all of that was done with volunteers, pretty much one weekend a month, you know, for several years. And that this building, if everybody remembers, in the nineties, you know, had settled almost 2.5, 3 feet. And so the idea that if it wasn't for the Friends volunteering their time and putting money towards all these projects, that it probably would not be here. And so 20 years ago, you know, it was this pipe dream of being able to get all this stuff running again. Everybody, you know, I was never here when they ran it off the electric motors, you know, but you know, everybody always talked about wanting to see it. And so about middle of July, I think it was, when we finally got everything leveled and straight and where it was at and all the belts hooked up, but like the first minute we could, you know, the moment you see this thing run, everything was pretty cool for me. And it's really neat to be able to show it off. It was a lot of work and a lot of people that put in their time, some of which are not here anymore, you know, that to get to this point. And so I always try to express that with the tours, is that, you know, that the amount of effort that the Friends have put in over the years to do all this. if you ask me where my favorite place to be is on the East Broad Top, it's actually hanging around in the rafters here, getting filthy dirty, you know. Because everything here, and James has been my sidekick, James Roslin, in this whole process over the last like 6 months. You know, you get up there and every one of these rafters has coal dust on it, about a ½ inch of coal dust or soot and ash and, you know, years of grime. And every one of these bearings has enough grease on it to coat, you know, an elephant. And so every time you stick your hand up there to get a tool or something and then touch the grease, like you literally just are black for days. It will not come out, but this is my favorite place. Josh Cap, one of our, is a FEBT member, but he's also a part-time volunteer. That's what he does for a living, is work on machines, for a contractor for the military. So having him here to start really actually knowing what I don't know anything about the machines. I can make the belts turn, but that's about it. Josh has started breaking down each machines, and some of the volunteers, now that we have opportunities to do things during the weeks where we didn't, you know, it was never an option before. And so not only did Gene Tucker have people here almost on a daily basis doing track work, you know, there's guys that are retired or different things that maybe volunteer for other organizations that can't come on the work weekends. We have a couple guys that, Kevin Scanlon is one guy from Pittsburgh who comes in and just loves to clean the machines. And so you'll see some of the machines now where all the black brass plates and everything are now shining and coming out. And so it's really cool to be able to give the opportunities to people to come in and do some different things throughout the week. And I appreciate it. It's fun working with everybody. It's fun meeting people. And, you know, I can't recommend enough, if you haven't volunteered here, you know, you should try it out at least once. That's how you end up buying the railroad. You volunteer and someday you think it's a good idea to help get that, you know. But I'll stop running my yap. You can see, I ask you please just kind of stay out between the Coach 8's back there. I'm hoping here the first week of November that we can actually have it back on its trucks officially again. What happened was we put a new end sill and the end beam in the other end of it. We used some oak that was stored here that we thought was good and found out it was not good. So when we set it back down on the trucks, all the work that Lynn Modinger and his crew had done over the last 6-8 months literally just crumbled and crushed when they put the weight down on it. The entire end beam, it must have been bad wood in the center of the beam, and it literally just crushed. So we were back to square one. We do have the new timbers here now to do it. I'm hoping in November to have it put back together. And the 14 you can see back there in all its glory right now with no wheels under it and basically anything else. That's been there for a good almost a year. We're gonna build some shop trucks for it to be able to move it around, so once we start the process, we'll be able to move it out of here and back into the roundhouse once we get the 16 done.
Does number 8 still have roller bearing trucks on?
Yes. Yep. The machine, or the boiler shop in the back, if you look at the amount of stuff that's laying on the floor right now, that all came out of 1/4 of that storehouse over there. I don't know how they had that much stuff back in there, but it was in there. And yeah, and I wasn't here that one, man. We learned that.
Yeah, look at all these tools, they're just giant versions of what I have at home.
Alright, well, I'm gonna start the engine. Feel free to kind of walk around and look back and be very careful where you're walking. Please stay out of the car shop and stuff for today. It's not fit for human beings to be in there right now. You can see, I'll demonstrate the small planer over here once everybody gets a chance to kind of look around, but just enjoy it. I mean, that's why we're here, and I thank all of the people that did help to make this happen. So. We do have a package boiler that was donated to us up in Syracuse that we have to go get. It's a modern boiler, 100 horsepower. We anticipate hopefully next year getting the shop engine back running off of steam again. We have some work to do to get there, but hey, a free boiler is a free boiler. Somebody wants to do the honors and grab the rope. here when we first bought this